Thank you. This might be so good. Yeah, sorry I'm sitting down, but I actually, which is slightly ironic for a fitness retreat owner, I fell over in the street on Thursday and quite a lot of pain, so forgive me. So I wanted to talk to you about Push, which is obviously a company, and the things that I wanted to talk to you about is basically the kind of process that I've been through over the last 9 months. Because not all that long ago, I was in the exact same situation as you guys. I was actually head of partnerships over at Mindshare, and was in media for 16 long and, dare I say, drunken years before I kind of decided to make that change. And what kind of brought it about? I mean, I don't know about you, but personally, I think there's always this kind of feeling in media that you just think, what's my plan B? I mean, there is an element, isn't there, of, dear God, everyone seems to be getting a lot fucking younger, and I'm a part of that. And you just kind of start thinking about what else you might do. And for me, you know, I'd always really known that I really enjoyed exercise, and it always, or at least it certainly made every other part of my life better. And January 2014, I went off to a boot camp, a traditional boot camp. Excuse me, and I really loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved the community, I loved the positivity, I loved the fact that I lost 10 pounds. But I also really recognised that there were things that I thought could be done differently. So, for example, you know, I felt like everyone was really beasted for a week. I ended up with an injury that took me 3 months to get over it, and it didn't give you any tips to continue with afterwards. Plus, it really didn't tap into that whole kind of well-being thing as well. It was just simply about the exercise, and I thought, well, there are things I would do differently. I came back, I was like, woo, I'm going to set up a boot camp, yeah, I'm going to do it. Literally within 2 weeks, of course, you're going straight back into your life, your normal life, and you're sucked up with your career, you're sucked up with your friends, you're sucked up with your mortgage you're paying a huge amount of money on, and all of this stuff just seems really, really unrealistic. And then, so life kind of goes on, and of course, boot camp goes further and further from my mind, but sadly, last year, my mum was really ill, actually, she had cancer. Fortunately, she has made a recovery, but for me, that was the real crisis point of, right, I'm going to do something different, and life's too short to kind of just be wasting it, really. And that was the moment, and that's when I really started thinking about what I could do. And I fell back into the boot camp idea. And at the same time, I went actually to a talk by a lady called Chrissy Rocker. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's the lady that is the founder of the White Company. And it wasn't the best of talks, I've got to be honest, but the one thing that really stuck out to me was the fact that she said about the target audience, when you're creating a product, your target audience, you really, really need to understand to the point that you're pretty much it. And that's kind of what I've done with Push. I've created the thing that I always wanted, but wasn't really available out there. And what I mean by that is, I think in London, as busy professionals as we are, I think that we live a life of credit and debit. And I think that, you know, half the time we're being really good, we're looking after ourselves, we're going to the gym, you know, we're eating well, we're getting enough sleep, and the other half of the time, pain, especially working in media, we're working 12-hour days, we're super stressed, gym goes out the window, and you know, we go out and get drunk that night, and the following day we might well want to get over it. And you kind of get, when you get to that point, it's a real crisis point, and you just need something to really kind of give you that kickstart and get you back on track. And that's where hopefully Push comes in. And we're all about kind of just giving people little tools to help them live their lives better. And that goes much more beyond just exercise. And we look at all areas of well-being, and that's so that for me, exercise obviously because it gets you into that really positive space and feeling good about yourself. Nutrition, so you can really learn how to nourish yourself and to deal with any dietary habits, dietary problems that you have. Exec coaching, so you can look at basically your focus for the future, make plans and set realistic goals and how you're going to achieve them. And then finally mindfulness, just so you can live much more presently and be much more aware and make much better decisions. So, I have my product, and the next thing was obviously to think about how on earth I get it to market. Now, if I can give you one thing from this talk today, it's a little bit of reassurance. If ever you were to leave media, if ever you were to go and do your own business, do not be scared of the business plan. I was shitting myself about this business plan. Everyone talked about it. I was like, what on earth is it? How do you do it? Let me assure you, we are perfectly set up to do this business plan, right? Because a business plan is remarkably similar to writing a media strategy document. Because all you're doing, right, is you're looking at your marketplace, you're looking at the competition, you're looking at what will drive people to do it, you're looking at insights, you're looking at barriers, and then of course you're looking at the marketing plan of how you're actually going to be getting that to market. And it all kind of just fell into place quite naturally, of course, of the kind of stuff that I've been doing. And so when it came to the plan of, you know, how I was going to get it to market, you know, looking at the financials, for example, you know, I'll talk more about this in a moment, but you know, that was quite interesting itself. We were really well set up to be doing that. And then with the marketing, you know, that was really interesting. I thought to myself, God, that's the one thing I've obviously got in my favour. Brilliant. You know, I've been doing it for years. And unfortunately, that's kind of true, but let me assure you, having been the head of partnerships over at Mindshare, and working on multi-million-pound clients, Unilever being my biggest one, dear God, how different that is to working on a brand which has absolutely zero awareness and is essentially a budget of £2, and you have to evolve very, very quickly. And I learned quite quickly, I worked out quite quickly that for a product like this, the three areas that were really important in terms of in order to invest in were PR, talent, and social. And with regards to the PR, the things that you learn quickly is just where to spend your money and where value is really, really drawn. So with the PR, for example, normally with a big client, of course, the PR agency is on a retainer, and I kind of started out with that. But after a while, after they'd kind of done their job of helping me with the awareness booster in the first place, it actually made much more sense that I was bringing in quite a lot of PR. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about skills in a moment. I really realised that was an area that I was quite good at, the sales and marketing side of it and the PR side of it. So rather than having a PR agency and keeping using them, I got rid of them quite quickly after a few months. I'll probably use them in the future, but it just didn't make sense to keep them on. The social side of things, because I really wanted the brand to be truly authentic, I kept doing the social myself. I very quickly realised that actually, the best use of my time is not working out what bloody post to write every day on Facebook. It really isn't. So very quickly I farmed that out to a great company that I found, of course with me overseeing it to make sure it's really on brand. And then the talent side of things as well, again going back to working out what I was good at, the networking side, the sales and marketing side, that was the kind of thing that was much more important for me to be doing myself. Which again brings me on quite nicely to no shame. And Anna, who knows me, will probably know that that's probably one of my life mantras. I've commonly referred to myself since starting up Push as a tenacious little bitch. And basically, I will leave no stone unturned. This is my baby, and I want this to work, right? And I have used and abused every one of my 16 years worth of media contacts in order to make this work. Excuse me, sorry. But what I've tried to do is I've hopefully tried to be a little bit more clever about it, and when you go and ask favours of people, what actually, the strange thing is people are really supportive in the first place. I think generally people are really, they quite like the idea that someone's made that shift and they want to support you on your journey. But also, I've tried to be quite clever about the fact that almost being kind of conscious, because the one thing that you have got in your bank is obviously the value of your product. So, for example, I did quite a lot of stuff in Metro, and they brought me in, and I've done some corporate wellness with them. And in return, they've given me quite a lot of publicity, which has been amazing. They wrote a big article on the brand and the stuff that I've been doing. And then also, very quickly I realised as well that working for myself, you need other people to bounce stuff off. So I was pulled in a kind of group of mentors, people within the industry or people that I knew who had done this kind of thing before. And actually what I'm looking at doing now is rather than just being a mentor, I'm really going to solidify that relationship and make them a board of advisors. And what I give them in return is free stuff for them. But be that corporate wellness that I'll go and work with their companies, or that obviously they can become essentials in the one days. And that, in itself is great because it obviously boosts my awareness at the same time. The other thing really is, to be authentic and to be true to you. And I think for me, the reason why Push works is that, I get the audience because I'm it, but also that's ingrained through every single element of the brand, every single touch point that anyone has with it. So be that the social activity, be that the people we work with in terms of talent, or indeed when it comes to the team that I've chosen as well. What was imperative to me is that I didn't have someone on the team who preached at people. That is not what Push is about. Every single person that works within the team gets it. They either work still our professionals still the same as us, or they've done it themselves. And that was so important because it's all about, we get it and we want to help people just simply to live their lives better with the knowledge that we actually have. And the people that I work with, I think, are really, really, really reflective of that. One of the things that someone, embracing change, one of the things that someone said to me when I was first setting up the company was that the product you start out with will be totally different to the product that you end up with. I'm like, yeah, all right, whatever, I'm starting up a fitness retreat. And, lo and behold, we launched, I started working on it in October, and December I launched the product, and lo and behold, by June, I've got a very different product to what I started out with. You know, this started out as residentials. And going back to the business plan that I was talking about, let me assure you as well, when it comes to the financials in particular, the business plan that you start out with is literally defunct from the first moment you wrote it. I'm not far from mortified about some of the stuff that I put down. You know, the hardest thing, and I think this comes back to this naivety of, you know, working on big brands and big budgets, is that if you actually go out and you put a message out to people, not only are they going to suddenly be aware of what you're doing, they're going to do whatever you say. Here's the harsh reality, folks, it doesn't fucking happen. You know, I very quickly realised that, you know, the hardest thing I had to do is to get 10 to 15 people down to the New Forest every month. You know, and I started this business plan saying, right, okay, in January I'm going to have 10 people, in February I'll have 12, come April I'll do 15, and whoa, in summer I'm going to have at least 2 groups of people at 30 apiece going down there. And it just doesn't happen, of course it doesn't, because, you know, for a product like this, not only is it quite hard for people to comprehend, but also you have to make them aware of it, and you have to help them understand why on earth they want to part with 1,500 quid and take time off work. So at the same time, by a very happy coincidence, I've had a press trip with one of the girls who come on, it's actually the NPR at Foxton Hotel, and she basically said to me that she wanted to get into partnership with Push, which is amazing. Excuse me, to start up one day was at the Foxton Hotel, obviously in London, which is amazing. At the same time, old colleagues of mine who work over at Twitter started talking to me about working with them and doing some corporate wellness work, which I just hadn't even thought about before. And all of a sudden it just made complete sense to me, you know, where I've created something that hopefully that's so perfect for this kind of professional audience. Actually, rather than getting, you know, Mohammed to go to the mountain, let's bring the mountain to bloody Mohammed, you know, and actually bring it to London and, you know, take it to people here, whilst obviously then boosting awareness for the residentials. So we totally turn the product on its head. And actually the mainstay of what we're doing is within corporates and is with the one days as well. And at the same time we're increasing the awareness that then go and have these residentials as pop-ups, and we'll do those on a quarterly basis and do those abroad. So that, you know, that makes sense, right? And then finally, don't panic. You know, I've really realised quite a lot about myself in doing this whole thing. And you know, one thing I've really realised is that I have a terrible thing, an absolute terror for catastrophizing. So, you know, one small thing will go wrong. I won't win a pitch, for example, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna lose my whole business. And it's like, you know, you kind of spiral the shit from actually what's actually happening to this huge thing that you think might happen. And you know, that's the one thing that I would really say is like, you know, just learn to deal with what you're dealing with. You know, the reality of what you're dealing with rather than the mights and the could be's. Because, you know, again, one thing I've really learned is invariably they don't bloody happen, you know, and we constantly have these, you know, and again, I think even more so, you know, working in a business with something that you're so passionate about, you know, highs and lows constantly, you know, the highs are amazing, and then you'll have this low, all of a sudden, but, you know, and you'll then be really locked within that, and then all of a sudden you're out of it again, and that, you know, all I've learned is things change, they change like that. So, you know, don't get locked into that panic of something being quite bad, because it just isn't, you know, and another thing, things always tend to work out, right? And we are really resourceful, and whatever happens, you can always kind of find a way out of it. That's what I found. And then, you know, just to finish up, someone said to me the other day, you know, would you do it again? And, God, I'm only just starting. Would I do it again? You know, I'm not going to lie to you, it's fucking hard. I refer to it as the hardest, best thing that I have ever done in my life. But, you know, I look back on how I was living before and how I live now, and yeah, I would 100% do it again, because you know what, now, you know, I look back then and I feel a lot like, certainly towards the end of my media career, like I was just existing. And now I really feel like I'm living, and you know, even during hard times, you know, you're living every single one of those, and it's awesome. I really recommend it.
Do you guys have any questions for Cate?
So it's great to hear about like kind of the process of you setting it up. Just for everyone that's not really familiar with it, can you just quickly take us through?
Oh, what it actually is?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So basically, well, what it actually is now. So it started out as, I refer to it as the UK's first renewal boot camp, so it was residentials initially. where people would basically go and stay for a week and do a combination of high intensity exercise, combined with clean eating, and then I would bring in nutritionists, I would bring in a mindfulness coach, and I would bring in exec coaches as well. But now what we actually do, I'm kind of just evolving the proposition a little bit as we speak, I'm referring to it as the home of wellness. So basically then what that actually means is that I just think it gives us a lot more scope to go out and deal with corporates, for example, and to do these one-dayers, and basically to bring in other things. So I think, for example, we're looking at how we bring in alternative therapies, so massages, Reiki, and reflexology, for example, as well. So all that, just really building into the whole kind of wellness package.
How much seed capital did you start with?
Say that again, sorry.
Seed capital. Did you save? Did you, how did you?
So I was very fortunate. I had two investors in the company, and I've given away 20% of my company, and I started the business with £20,000.
And how did you find the investors?
Well, one of them works for the company, which is great, and one of them is a very good friend of mine. But so I was very lucky in that capacity. I didn't have to go any further than that. But I know obviously there are quite a lot of funds out there that do help.
Do you have any moments where you thought this would not work and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, literally like every month. The worst one, excuse me, the worst one I think where it was a point where I was just thinking, right, because and this is going back to the residentials that I was doing. They're really, really expensive to run, right? They've got quite a lot of moving parts to them, and I've basically done 3 of them, and I just thought I could see that it was coming to the end of the money. And I was thinking, I don't know if I can do this. And as I said, at that time, that was when I started looking at the one-dayers, and it's also when I started looking at the corporate stuff. And I think this is where, I come back to that point of things will always be all right. Things kind of tend to turn a corner. And it was when the corporate came in, and I started to see, and as I said, it was from an old colleague of mine, and I just suddenly thought, this is where you've then got to really evolve and think to yourself, right, this could actually be the right direction. And there's a lot of competition out in the market, and for the boot camps, for the residential boot camps, a lot of people with awareness, or with great awareness already, and actually maybe it's not the most commercial route to be going down. And so to start thinking to yourself, right, okay, so this corporate work, the corporate wellness side, this could really, really work. It seems to be an area that a lot of people are really interested in, but don't necessarily know what to do. So if I can kind of go in and almost kind of like exec manage that for them, then it really makes sense. So, going from that point, of, dear God, I don't know if this is going to work, am I going to go back to media, blah, 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 to actually thinking to yourself, right, this is a whole new avenue. And it's about really embracing that and evolving when you need to.
So, how long between the original idea and you actually launching it? Was it something you thought about for a few years and then decided to actually go with it, or?
So when I went to the boot camp in January, that's when I really started thinking about what the product would look like, or moreover, I guess, what I thought was wrong about one of the products that was out there. And obviously when I started doing business plan, I looked at a lot of the competition, and I really felt like there was a lot of stuff out there, and obviously, understanding the marketplace as well, people were genuinely interested in this area, and I think, you probably will agree that actually this area of wellbeing is hugely in the uptake, right? I think that people really, it's a real kind of experience economy now. People trade on the stuff that they're doing. It's like, I'll be doing my meditation this morning, I'm doing Tough Mudder next week. This area is really, really growing. So I really recognised that. And then I left my job in September, started working on this properly in October, and then we launched in December. So, it's been an absolute whirlwind, and I think actually, I look back and, as I mentioned, the financials that I did, which, changed massively. And I look back at the shape of the business, and moreover, the things that I've learned. There are 3 things in particular that really stand out in my mind as kind of mistakes, what a better way of putting it, that I've made. And I could sit around beating myself up about it, which occasionally I do in the dark moments. Or I can basically just say to myself, do you know what? This is my first time doing this. It's the first time starting a business, and you're learning, and no one gives you a manual, and you just make the best decision you can under the circumstances that you have. And you know what? Sometimes you do get it wrong, but you learn from that. I think there's a Facebook mantra, isn't there? Move fast and break things. And I think that's the thing. It's like, as long as you don't then spend time really beating yourself up about it and keep evolving on, then then you keep growing. Hello.
So you started in December, and so it's kind of 6 months now.
Yeah.
Are you at the point of break even loss making, or are you making any profit? Are you able to support yourself?
Yeah, so very fortunately, I am supporting myself. It was very funny actually, a friend of mine the other day who I used to work with over at Mindshare, I was on the phone to him and he was like, oh my god, it looks like it's doing really, really well, you're making more money than you did in media. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Of course I'm not, I'm literally 6 months in the making. And that's the thing, I think, the expectation, you have a real, I went from a pretty good job and that's been one of the hardest things, and a good salary, and all of a sudden, you don't have that level of money coming in, and that was a bit of a shock, and all of my friends are still earning exactly the same amount of money. It's like, oh. So yeah, am I supporting myself? Yes, very much so, but am I at the case where it's the money that's being earned as well is going back into the business. So, and someone said to me the other day, it really does take a good couple of years till you get to that point where you're making good money. And I believe it, I really do.
Have you got a 5-year plan? Where do you see progression in 5 years?
Do you know what? I think the one thing that I really learned over the last few months is that planning, you can certainly have those plans, but they change so quickly. I think now the big area of focus for us is the corporate wellness side, and over the next few weeks, months, I really want to beef that up. I will set a mark in the sand now and say that is the area that I really want to go into, and I almost want to be, I would love the brand to be almost like a broker within the corporate wellness market, and I think that's one of the reasons why now it's obviously set up, as I said, as the Reboot Camp and the four disciplines within it. And the reason why I'm broadening that out now is because whilst I don't want to become too nebulous, I don't want to become too, I don't want to feel like I really curtail what a brand could actually become, and particularly if we do go into that area, because it does feel like a very valuable area to be going into. So yes, I would very, for the next 5 years, I would like to say that that's going to be our area of focus. The other thing as well is, I think that coming from a media background, we're very aware of metrics, right? And we're very aware of working out whether or not something works. And certainly within this kind of corporate wellness world, of course there is, you can understand the impact you're having on a company in terms of sickness days, bringing insurances down and health insurances down, working on their brand, their employer branding, etc. But I think for me, a really interesting area would be really kind of leading the area of corporate wellness out on the impact of it. Looking at stuff like a happiness audit, for example, and understanding, what value this has. This has within for people like us, and that's actually something that already I'm really looking at how to change that. So there you go, another thing.
Great. Thanks, Kate. That was
You're very
awesome.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the hottest day of the year. Literally, I've had 2 people. The combo of that can in Glasgow, I'm surprised everyone's here, so thank you so much.